Social media companies face hundreds of lawsuits. They've been filed by governments, school districts, families, and even young people. And many of them protest a singular phenomenon, the impact of social media on mental health. Now, a new lawsuit has joined this pile. 41 US states have sued Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. They say Meta contributes to mental health crisis among the youth. And this is the biggest action against the company. But what will it yield? Experts say social media is harmful, especially to children. Governments agree, social media companies disagree, parents are scared. But the question remains, why is it so hard to reach a conclusion? Why is it so difficult to regulate social media? Our next report tells you.
This is the US Surgeon General Vivek Murthy. In the month of May this year, he issued a grave warning. He said that social media is harmful to your mental health, especially if you're a teen. Normally, products deemed unhealthy for children are outlawed, like cigarettes and alcohol. So why isn't social media under heavy regulation? That's because of a little thing called expressive speech. That's what social media falls under. Now, it's not enough for experts or governments to claim that social media is unhealthy. They also need to regulate it. That means bans and age limits. But it's easier said than done. The governments must convince the courts. For that, they need evidence. And therein lies the problem. There's nothing conclusive. Many reports say that social media is bad for the mental health of teens and children, like this one from 2021. It says social media affects the self-esteem and well-being of children. Another study from last year says teenage social media use is linked to less life satisfaction. But some reports also claim the opposite. A study by Oxford published this year claims there's no evidence that the global spread of Facebook is linked to widespread psychological harm. In short, correlation is not causation. And governments face an uphill battle to find irrefutable proof. What's the result? So far, policymakers have failed to pass constructive privacy and safety protections for children pertaining to social media. So instead, they've ushered in political reckoning against social media companies. The EU is forcing big tech to regulate content through new sweeping laws. US states like Arkansas and Utah have banned people under 13 from social media without parental consent. A California law demands tech companies build social media guardrails. Parents and school districts the world over have filed hundreds of lawsuits too, claiming social media worsens the mental health of teens and children. And now, US states have taken their biggest action yet. 41 states have sued Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, for contributing to the mental health crisis among the young. This is by using addictive features to trap users and collecting data on children.
As our state's chief law enforcement officer, and as a parent, there is nothing more important to me than ensuring the well-being of our children. And we know that in the era of social media, their mental health has never been more at risk. That's why today I'm joining dozens of other attorneys general across the United States in a massive undertaking to once and for all hold Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, and its CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, accountable for the deceptive practices and years of harm they have brought upon our young people.
If Meta is found guilty, there will be a number of potential consequences, like civil penalties and changes in business practices. But the question is, will simply demanding change from social media companies and fining them be enough? It's almost like urging oil companies to stop climate change, or cigarette companies to make their packaging unappealing. Decades ago, cigarettes were marketed as healthy products. This is shocking today, but how did this change? Because governments stepped in, just like they need to do in the case of social media companies. But regulating big tech is no small feat, and we as users must also share some responsibility. After all, they call it the doom scroll for a reason.